Here we go. We're live.
There's 6 people waiting.
I know. I'm so sorry. We're up and running now,
love it.
guys.
I've just never noticed that you can see how many people are waiting for us.
Right. Well, no. Yeah. I'm glad you got it. But we are up. I can see it in the chat here. So
Hey, and there we are. Now I can see us.
yeah.
Happy
So,
Monday, everybody.
checking all the stats here, guys. I'm super excited today because I threw together a little video, and this is something I used to do. So we're excited to show this to you.
I'm totally excited. I just want to see the comments, and I can't.
Oh yeah, go for it. I'm actually getting mine set up here. So anyway, happy crappy winter coming into spring thing. We've been having a mud fest here.
Crappy.
It's been I think my dogs are just about ready to have like panic attacks about the weather because every day you go outside it's either like ice, snow, or mud or a lake in the backyard. They're just confused as fuck, and it's been an eventful weather season in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, and we're in this crazy summer, spring warming trend right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 60 here tomorrow.
It's crazy right now.
And we're used to like 20 and below, so yeah.
There we go. I'm sorry, you guys. My phone wouldn't let me see the comments, so I had to get back in here. Sorry, I'm back now.
Hey, we're starting to get this sorted out better because I'm actually having a way easier time getting this rolling. So, new technology.
Okay,
yay.
Cool. All right. I see our mods are in the our mod team is in the comments. So hi guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Hey, to the people joining us, we are going to talk about vape carts tonight, and I have a video, but in the end, we're going to cut back to us talking about this.
Yes.
And then that will help us answer your questions too. So you can ask, and I'll see them, and I'll try to answer them as best I can.
Absolutely. I have trouble seeing the comments after we go offline, so I'll try and keep an eye on them as well. But yeah, your comments will help us to build this video out a little farther so it can be on YouTube as a finished product. So
well, because I only recorded exactly how to do it, but I think after that, we're going to talk about our experiences with doing this. And various things that you need to know that will help you even just be a more effective dispensary vape cart user, hopefully.
Correct.
So I've been messing with vape carts for a while. So anyway.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I have. And
so. As she hits a vape cart right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm making sure my batteries are charged.
Yeah, I hear you. So what nice T-shirt.
Thank you. Make sure they can see it at home.
I love it. Anyway, what have you been up to? I heard you may have bought a car.
Oh yeah, we did that, and so much stuff this weekend. I'm trying. It's been hard to get a vehicle, as I might have mentioned before, as everyone probably knows. And we figured it out and kind of got this deal going. So, I mean, not everything's closed yet, but we have the car. So I'm selling one too. But yeah, I think it's done. So, but I mean, heck, we got that this morning. I went to the doctor to find out I can get this little lipoma thing removed. And they were like, "Oh, we have an opening Friday." I'm like, "Tell me what to do." So we're doing that, and then yeah, we kind of got out and got around town because the weather's been so weird. It's been okay to go places because it's not -2 degrees.
I want you to, just for the sake of everyone that's watching, I want you to back up just a smidge, because the conversation at the office about cannabis and the night before surgery.
Actually, this was a big thing Mike came to tell you today when we were planning on having this discussion.
That's
one of the things that just blew him away. This is a very simple procedure, and we were in there, and they take your history, like in the beginning, like, are these the meds you take? Is this your health conditions, blood pressure, heart rate, all that? And they were we decided we would do this procedure Friday, and they were giving me the whole runaround about like, not runaround, they were very great about it, but like, here's what to expect, and like, you have to fast
because
this
you're
day.
going to have, it's an outpatient surgery.
It's basically an outpatient surgery, but this was the funny thing because Mike's sitting in there with me. He was off today, and I was like, you couldn't just do this now. I mean, well, Twilight and the surgery. I said, that seems like a lot of trouble. And he said, if you numb it up, she's totally fine. I mean, you could just cut it out right here. Yeah.
You are such a fucking badass.
Well, honestly, if it wasn't on my back, it's right here on my neck, I would have totally done it, but I just can't see it. So this wouldn't even be a thing. I would have taken care of it if it was somewhere I could reach and view. Now, it seems like a lot of trouble, but they're telling me all these medicines I can't take. I can't have aspirin like 36 hours before, and I can't.
Right.
And they're like, will this be a problem? And the only thing that there was because it's a skin thing. I can't put topicals on. And I was like, well, I'm kind of bummed about that, but no problems. And Mike's like, well, but she is a medical cannabis user. Oh, that won't do anything. That's not a problem.
We're not worried about that at all.
It's natural. I mean, my God, it's not when you have to worry about aspirin, which is like the one thing that like we even took as kids sometimes when we had a fever.
Yeah.
Why is, and it really struck my husband also because I mean, they're going to do this Twilight thing on me. I really don't need it. Usually I opt out because anesthesia costs more and I didn't have insurance. So I'm just used to it. But it was just kind of funny to think like, they're like, well, where do we call a prescription and after? And I'm like, I'm probably just going to go home and take an edible,
Yeah.
I don't need anything. Yeah. So it was good.
If you've never had a lipoma, I think is a technical term, it's a fatty tumor tissue.
Yeah.
It's if they get big enough, they're annoying, but they're really not dangerous. Holly and I were talking before in the pre-show. I had one over on one of my sides here, my side, for 2 or 3 years, and it finally got big enough, and the doctors were aware of it. And they're like, let's get rid of that.
And I'm not horribly worried about it, except it got bigger in the last couple of years. So I just thought this is a good time to get rid of it before it becomes something expensive. Yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things I'm checking off my health boxes because I got like a couple dental things I needed touched up.
Okay.
I'm kicking asses and taking names. I'm going to be like, she was 30 in this picture, and look at her at 45.
She looks like younger.
What is that? That's cannabis.
Could that be the cannabis?
That's cannabis. So yeah, that's where I'm going with this. So anyway.
So that's what you've been up to this weekend.
Yeah, that was pretty much my weekend.
And today.
Right.
So we thought that we were going to go to the RV show. Serena and I have toyed with the idea of an RV. Lightly toyed with the idea of living in it full time.
Tiny house living is a thing. I mean,
I know it is.
There's a lot of merit to it.
So we thought, you know what?
You're kind of doing it now.
We kind of are doing it, or we're close to doing it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were gonna, go to the RV show this weekend. Thursday night, we got a call from our daughter, who has 3 children, one of which is a teenager, 13, 8th grader.
The rough ages.
Oh my goodness gracious. And so there was an issue. There's been some issues with the teenager,
Honestly, a lot of my friends with teenagers right now,
yeah,
it's rough for them right now. It's really rough for them right now. Shout out if you have a teenager, because seriously, they're struggling.
I completely understand what COVID has done to the teenagers, the junior hires, and
the social ages. Before
you even add the COVID factor, you have to realize what junior high is like, and how many of us were just filled with angst going through junior high for obvious reasons. You know, it's a maturity thing, and
Honestly,
stuff
I
is
think
changing.
junior
And
high is sometimes worse than high school for a lot of people because you're discovering a lot about yourself at the same time.
I think it's worse for a lot. It was worse for me.
It
I
was
was
worse.
cool in
It
high
was
school.
the worst I had to. I mean,
Yeah,
my high school
yeah.
experience was way positive compared to junior high. Totally.
So we ended up having our oldest granddaughter come over Thursday night, late, like 10. And then we had her for the entire weekend and took her home midday Sunday.
Right.
So she joined us for the RV show.
That's cool.
But having her with us, knowing, again, not going to tell tales or anything, but knowing the issues they're dealing with and knowing the issues she's dealing with, and wanting to help in any form or fashion that two old grandparents can muster. Okay.
The age difference, right?
Well, I mean, we're not licensed therapists, for crying out loud. I mean,
that too, but also the
we're
generation
old,
thing. But I mean, you're a good listener.
So it was very anxiety driving,
Of course.
for Serena and I both, because we raised her mother, and we see the struggles between mother and child, and we're like, fuck, been there, done that, and we know how painful it is.
Oh,
it
very.
was painful for us. It was painful for us the first time, and so we want to try and do anything we can to help with that the second time, and it was draining. It was a long weekend.
I'm glad you still went to the RV show, though, because I think that getting out of the house and doing things is super important. I mean,
and one of the two of them,
probably good for her too.
One of the two of them, I don't know who it was, snatched my phone and took a bunch of really silly pictures together.
Oh shit! I haven't seen those yet.
No, you may not.
Okay, that's fine. I respect that.
She we would try and talk to her, and she'd get very sullen and depressed, and then we'd let it go, and then she'd come back to life. And so we had several things of that over the 3-4 days she was with us. So, but
sometimes I think some people who are going through some stress really want to just feel normal for a bit. And I think none of us have had a lot of normal lately.
Oh my God.
And that's why, we bum rushed a bunch of stuff this weekend to get it knocked out, because, I mean, when I found out, just, I want spring to come and be something that we can all enjoy. So I'm trying to get my ducks in a row.
I understand completely.
Yeah.
I understand completely. I know that in Illinois, the mask mandates are going to end in the very near future.
Actually,
yeah, close. We're
our next live
8 days to the end of the month. Yeah, so we're getting close to the end of that. As the
and
weather
literally,
improves,
hey, I don't have a problem with the masks. I just I've been to other states a couple times, and I really like the communication that we all have, because we're all going through this social anxiety about getting back out there. I mean, I'm a total extrovert, and you've gone to things with me, have you not? And I'm like, oh no, we'll just own it. I mean, I can walk in there like I fucking run the place, and we'll be fine. But even I am thrown off, and that's not
and and when we do stuff, she does.
Well, I just know how. It's just I should write a book.
So, can I go down a rabbit trail?
Go for it.
So the RV show was really predicated on me using my scooter.
Right.
For those of you that don't know, I have a mobility scooter. I can't stand for very long at all. I can walk on a treadmill for 30 minutes, but I can't stand for more than 5. Honest to God, I'm in agony. So I had bought new batteries a year ago, and we hadn't used a scooter for over a year because of COVID.
Which is sometimes bad for batteries.
Well, I've been charging them every week since I bought them.
Of course.
So the scooter worked. I was terrified because I was sure it was going to die. you've been with me occasions when it died.
Oh, I've helped carry it back to the car. Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out really, really fine. But the reason I'm telling this story is the Women in Cannabis event that we took the goddamn scooter to 3 years ago.
Right.
Oh my God. We go to this.
Well, you were worried about going at first, so I found a 3D rendering of the building and showed you that I could get you anywhere in there. And
so we took my scooter, and they had to move potted plants from the door to open a bigger door.
I still have Jared's card.
This was a night of the most comedy of errors ever. Taking that scooter into this event. God, it was so much fun.
I got you
and
upstairs.
So crazy. We went in a freight elevator upstairs.
Well, you were worried about it, and I said, I will get you up there. It just takes a minute. I used to work in bars. I can take care of that.
I'll take care of it.
I found the dude, and that was Jared, and he made it work, and we got up there. And I said, okay, now I'm going to go run around. And I brought 40 people back with me.
What was the name of the bar? Do you remember?
Oh, Jesus, I don't remember that.
Okay.
It was nice though. Anyway, but whatever. That was years ago, back when we did.
And stuff. you found the gangster pit for us to sit at right next to the stage.
Because we were actually in the video with the Illinois Senate. So I'm good at that. Hey, you came to my party in my town, and I got us hooked up.
I know.
I'm good like that.
It was a scooter story from way back.
When you worked in the industry in the past, you kind of have a feel for how things. And see, that's where I'm going with I'm out of practice because I can get in my realm and do this, but we are all there. We are all out of practice. So.
Right. And we need to get back in practice.
And we need to get back. And that's this weekend we kind of got out just to get the heck out because 2 years of this COVID madness on top of the cabin fever right now. I did want to send a little shout out to, we went to the mall this weekend and stuff just to get out. We had to run around and just pick up a couple things. And, I went to the Stardust Vape place that I heard about in our mall, and my faith was restored in. This is the Champaign Mall, in people and their knowledge of things because this is not a dispensary, but he has CBD and hemp products, and he's starting to get the Delta 8 and the Delta 10 and the THCO, which I know some people are suspect of, but I went in there and saw this. I even bought stuff, but I was really happy to see that someone would talk about something in a knowledgeable manner because a lot of times Delta 8's getting the gas station reputation, but there are people it's helping, and he wasn't making it out to be something it wasn't. He was explaining it in a legit way. So shout out to vape shops that we work with some great ones. Just in my town alone, the Vape Vault with Scott, he will answer your questions. And talking about vapes tonight, there were some issues in the past that make people not trust them. And we're going to even talk about that because these days there's ways to be safe. And one of the ways is to buy a dispensary product and convert it into a vape cart on your own with products you can trust. So we're going to talk about that.
Right. That's the, that was kind of the subject matter. I've seen a couple of posts in the group, and we really try, I try to keep my eye on things in the group. And when I think that there's a topic that we need to cover, I want to try and do that whenever possible.
Definitely.
By the way, if you are watching us and not a member of the group, I'm going to ask Holly to drop
I'll put the link in right now.
The link to join our group on Facebook now. There will be 2 questions that you have to answer. And the first one is, are you a medical user of cannabis or CBD hemp? And the second question is, do you agree not to try and self-promote or sell anything in our group and obey our rules? So once you've answered those 2 questions, I add you to the group, and you have access to 4+ years of knowledge. There's 80 almost 8,800 people worldwide. We have people joining from Australia, South Africa, the UK. I mean, all the time.
Right.
So
well, and
that's one of
cannabis
the
is
reasons.
cannabis, and it does the same thing if you're using Celsius or Fahrenheit. It doesn't matter what continent you're on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It all converts your
So,
numbers.
if it's your first time watching us, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being with us. The topic tonight is going to be vape cartridges, and obviously the sign behind me, DIY, making your own. That's
Right.
kind of what we do. The whole concept of making your own is about A, saving money, and B, customizing your product to your own specific needs.
And I think that's the biggest thing is the customization. Because,
I know you do.
I mean, I'm all into it, and literally, like, sometimes people are like, why don't you become a bud tender? I said, because I would, like, totally undercut the dispensary sales, telling people how to do
Right.
stuff themselves.
Right, exactly. I sell distillate all day and just tell them to go make it
I just be
themselves.
like, don't get fucked over. And okay, there were some people talking in our group about this week, and this is sometimes how we pick topics. And one of the things that I wanted to point out, but because of the Zuck world of like, they're kind of concerned about us talking about like sizes and prices and potencies, this and that. And I get that. But in Illinois alone, our vape cartridges are super expensive. You can get a 0.5 milliliter cartridge, which is half the size of this bigger one that I make at home, for $60. Sometimes they're 75, and that's only if you're medical. It's way higher at rec. Okay, so if you can get a gram of concentrate for $50 and add these liquids and stuff, you're literally making over a milligram for half the price, basically. Your cartridges become less than $30.
Well, you kind of go, in the beginning, you kind of go 2 to 1.
Well, and that's what they recommend on the labels of so many of these liquidizing products. A lot of times when you buy a concentrate, like think of a shatter or like a butter or a wax that you might have gotten in a small jar. Yeah, and I have one too, but you're going to get one out. Those little guys, I have one. This is a gram. So basically, I can make 2 dispensary carts out of the material in this alone.
That's what
and
I
paid
meant
$55 for this. Right. So I paid $55 for this. But when you read these liquidizer instructions, they want you to put a lot of liquidizer in there. And this method that I've developed that I'm going to show a video about tonight will kind of help you learn a little. And it's a touch and go thing. I mean, you learn as you go. And after we play the video, I want to talk about some tips to really making this work for you. So
cool. Perfect. That's a perfect setup. So as we launch off into this area, the one thing I wanted to kind of spend a minute or two just briefly talking about was the vape cartridge crisis of, I want to say it was 2019.
I think it was.
It could have been 2018. I don't even remember the year.
Hey, we were trying to figure out when Mike grew his beard this year. We were all concerned, but it was before the pandemic, but it was after Illinois had a legal program, so we had access to dispensary carts. But it wasn't just Illinois, it was nationwide.
Yeah, it was a nationwide story about vape cartridges and people getting
hospitalizations,
sick and dying and all this kind of stuff. And I'll be perfectly honest, you guys. I wouldn't allow any of the posts. And the reason why I wouldn't allow the posts is because I believed with my own research that it was a street cartridge issue.
Honestly, you and I discussed that multiple times, and I did also my research, and we literally, it didn't go back just a little bit. The vape cartridge, THC vape cartridge, but also the fear with like nicotine vape juice. Some of it was overblown, and a lot of it was mishandled in the media just because they don't know this. I do both. I do nicotine vape juice, and I do THC, and I don't even do it that much. but I really felt like I had the inside knowledge on this. So I really felt like my input was warranted, and there was a lot of scare tactics out at the time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And I feel like it was a lot of illegal vape manufacturers. Some people would get distillate and push it through, and it with basically vitamin E acetate oil. Now, when I make a vape cartridge, I use PG and VG, and there's some liquidizer products, and I use terpenes. And you can say what you will about those, but they are not vitamin E acetate. They are not an oil that will like form crust in your lungs.
So this is kind of where we started, guys, is several years ago when the whole, we are learning like everyone else new to the group. We've just been learning longer. The first cartridge that I ever made was with a company called Farm to Vape. And
Very common
company. The reason that I chose it is that it was a flavored wax liquidizer chemical solution in a bottle with a simple set of instructions and an empty bottle. So the idea was you would put a gram of concentrate, a gram of shatter or butter or whatever into the bottle.
Right.
Squirt X amount. And I think the label says 3 times.
Well, okay, if you have 1 gram, you put 2 milliliters of concentrate or liquidizer in. So basically, you're going to have 3 carts. But you'll never have more than 1,000 milligrams of product in a gram of concentrate. So you'll never have THC, CBD to that level. So you're literally making them weaker than you are in a cartridge.
Right. So we started this conversation saying you would go 2 to 1. The directions on the bottle from Farm to Vape made it 3 to 1, which made it very weak and somewhat ineffective, which honestly is why I quit doing it. Now, the second reason was I didn't like the way the liquidizer, I felt it in my throat. There was a chemical taste in my throat.
Understandable.
And it's just, I didn't care for it. I didn't like it.
And you didn't really go do vape carts before you did them yourself either, though. You didn't like the cost because that's a prohibitive avenue for a lot of people also. I didn't even like the cost. I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do this myself. And I went on that whole quest to do that. And I used to mix it 2 parts liquidizer to 1 part cannabis concentrate.
Right.
And I got it way down to where I can replicate a cart that you buy at the dispensary for half the price. And I'm going to show you how to do that tonight.
Well, that's the second. That's the second and the customization part that Holly's referring to. The first step for most of us was some sort of packaged liquidizer product like Farm to Vape or
we have a drizzled dab actually is in our discount files. So for those of you who are in the group, we have a discount on all this stuff to do this, and Claire will provide you. But for all of you who are joining us that aren't in the group, you might want to get a hold of us.
Right. So after much experimentation on Holly's part, she has come up with a different way to make carts. Now, let me just tell you something before I go there. What we've already discussed, now, we haven't done it in quite a while because of COVID, but we also have and operate a group called the Private Patient Potluck Group. It is a secret group on Facebook, and it's where we organize events where we meet in people's homes and we make whatever people want to make while we're there for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. And we hang out, we medicate, we just be together.
And that was one of my go-tos at these things. I would just bring a hot plate and some concentrate, and I would show how to make vape carts right there. Or tell other people, bring a concentrate you like. Yeah.
We've done potlucks.
Some of you have done this with me in the chat. Mark's in there.
A candle warmer, and we've actually made
cartridges
right there in about 5 minutes. So don't think because you haven't done it, it's so crazy difficult that it can't be done. It's not.
Well,
It's
and
not.
I simplified it because you mentioned like you had to put the concentrate in this little jar and you boiled it in water, and I'm like, oh no, I have been playing with this long enough and I figured out a super simple way to do it. So,
I
and
know
this
you
is
did.
not a new way, this is just kind of my years of refining it. So I want to teach you what I have figured out. And we're also going to talk about what you can make into concentrate. And this is not the I grew some flour and I've processed it and winterized it in BHO and I have a press. And this is like I bought some concentrate at the dispo and we're going to play with it and make it a perfect portable device to take with you. So anyway.
I'm sorry. I caught a comment. Mark says, Holly taught me at a PPP.
Shout out to Mark. That was the first PPP I officially went to because that was the one I came up to see you at.
That was in Lockport. That was at Joanne's house.
Yes, and I talked her through like being nervous about it because she was like, "Oh my God, what do I put in the bathroom?" And I said, "I'll tell you what. I'll bring a whole kit. I'll have paper towels and hand wipes, and anybody who has a problem, I got them."
That was one of our. That was
when we were fine tuning the PPP process.
That was our second potluck.
Yeah.
That was our second.
And I taught Mark how to make carts, and he brought me a whole something. We shared a joint. I remember that for sure. And probably I don't remember much after that. But those were potlucks. So
anyway, it's not that difficult once you know the basics of heat and terpene applications, right?
And let me explain this just a little bit for people who might not understand, because we see all these things about temperature, like we decarb at this temperature for this length of time. Concentrates are a little different to work with because as you warm and decarb them, they visibly show you what they're doing.
Right.
So temperature isn't so much an issue as much as getting enough temp to work with. So we'll talk about that.
Temp and time.
It's temp and time, and sometimes your candle warmer's a little hotter, but you'll decarb, and it's okay. You don't have to point a temperature thing at it and constantly worry. I'll walk you through it.
I know, but this is a bonus pillar of basic knowledge.
It's a basic cannabis knowledge, and honestly, watching this video, this is a really good photo of the decarbing of a concentrate. Because it's fascinating to watch. It really is. And I was super stoked when I was filming it to show you guys. Because it's kind of a beautiful process. You're starting with a concentrate that's full of THCA. And as you warm it, you are literally watching the A leave and become THC. It's like transformative. So it's super cool.
You are fucking giddy excited at this point. It's so cute to watch.
I love concentrate decarbing. I mean, I really wish I just had a bunch of it that I had to decarb for people all the time. It's a really beautiful thing.
Can I finish saying what I was starting to say?
Sorry, I was stoked.
A couple of minutes ago, Miss Excitement Vanna White.
Go ahead.
What I was trying to say before we get to the video is it's time and temp. It's always time and temp, and you can manipulate either or both.
Exactly.
Decarb is decarb, but you can manipulate decarb. It's all time and temp, but you can manipulate both. Higher temp is less time. Lower temp, longer time.
Longer time, but you control that too, because you can cut it off and keep the A in some stuff.
Well, and lower temps is more terps. So if you want more terps, do lower temps and do it a longer time.
In fact, I even bring that up in the video because temperature destroys terpenes. So that I add them last so that they are not very long exposed to a higher temp.
It was a foundational thought, which is why I wanted to make sure we covered it on the video.
It's part of the basics, and if you don't know, you should join the group because we have a really excellent basics course.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to start the video. go ahead and intro it.
Can you run that beautiful bean footage?
Run that beautiful bean footage, bitches! All right, here we go. I'll get it started and then I'll put you on so you can see it too.
Okay.
All right. Basically, this is what you need. So I have a liquidizer and the terpenes over here. We're going to go over all these in the video. You need an empty C-cell cartridge that you can fill, obviously. You need a hot
Alright, so to
plate.
get started here, I'm basically going
talk.
to use the highest settings on my candle warmer, and I'm going to let this concentrate here turn into a liquid on the candle warmer, and I'm going to start to let it decarb, and I will show you that closer. Right now it's like a good BHO butter consistency, and I just started warming it. I'm about to time it, and then I will let you know how long it took and what to do next. Alright, while we wait for that to heat up, which could take between 20 and 40 minutes, so just kind of dedicate some time in here to do all this, we can talk about cartridges. There are vape juice cartridges for nicotine and various different types. This cartridge is a C-cell 1 milliliter cartridge. It's got a 510 thread, and this part screws into the device that provides the electricity that heats up this little coil right here, and basically sucks the vape juice up into the tip, as we all know. Looks just like an empty version of a lot of the dispensary cartridges, and that is what you're going to want to use to get the best results. Alright. Here we are. It's starting to heat up. It's been on the candle warmer about 5 minutes. One of the reasons that I don't put this in another container is because this small container is very easy to work with. There's no need to transfer it into another bottle and just run the risk of, say, not getting it all out. So, alright, we're getting down to the fun part here. Everything's starting to liquidize, and you can see the bubbles are starting to form. That is basically this concentrate decarbing. So I'm going to let it continue to do this. 15 minutes has passed and we're at this point. I'm going to give it more of a chance, and I'll film as it gets more interesting here so you guys can see what it looks like. Alright, you can see it really bubbling now. It's been about 5 minutes since the last one. These are the big bubbles. This is basically your concentrate decarbing and getting fully liquidized. I'm going to start stirring it in just a bit just to see what's up, but I just wanted you guys to see what this looks like because it's really cool. Alright, now you can see how liquidy and clear this looks. The bubbles are still forming, but while it's doing this, let's talk a little bit about different things that you can use in this process. This was some kind of BHO wax. I don't even remember what the container said, but I often use distillate, which you can also get at the dispensary, and this does not need to be decarbed. I just put something like this in an empty candle warmer, like 1 milliliter at a time, add some terpenes just to get it a little bit more liquid, and then put it right into the cartridge. When this is done, I'm going to fill this cartridge, and I'm going to top off this cartridge that I'm just using randomly, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So it's getting pretty liquid right now, and I'm going to go ahead and add a few drops of liquidizer and stir. Alright, now I'm going to do the liquidizer. So I'm going to use Mango Beach liquidizer, and it's from Drizzle Dab, and it comes in this container, and I mean, it's really cool because even this is marked so you can see how many milliliters. I want these to be relatively strong, so I'm just going to put maybe 10 drops in. You kind of learn as you go what certain things handle. You can see that this is reacting. I'm going to stir. Give it all a chance to get really well mixed up. Give yourself some time. You're just basically decarbing, so the cart will be really fluid and nice without getting those sticky chunks. I've found THCA just kind of crystallizes in the cart, so go ahead and decarb all the way. Keep watching those bubbles till they get very small, and they'll be around the edge and you'll barely see them. Right now they're still pretty big. All right, now I'm going to add a few strain-specific terpenes. This will give you extra medicinal benefits and make the cart taste better. I'm just doing a few drops towards the end here because I don't want these on the heat a long time. And I'm going to stir like mad for like 3 minutes now, so I'm going to just go ahead and put this down while I do that. All right, so here's the syringe. Go ahead and suck all of this up, and I like to put this in here warm so that it gets down into that lower part there and gets soaked up better into the mixture. I still have a little left, so I'm going to go ahead and top off this cart. Let it soak in, top it off, leave yourself a little room on the top here. Ta-da! Done. And screw the tops on. And now you've got to let it sit for a little while to really soak in. You can't use it right the second you get it in there. So I'm holding it on this handy thing here. Ta-da!
All right, I'm stopping the screen share here, and I'm asking McGee to unmute. And oh my gosh, guys, thank you for watching that with me.
I'm back.
We're back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Hold on, I'm gonna get us on the shot here. But yeah, this is what I wanted to share with people was how it's possible to do this, basically. I'm glad you got to see it.
I want to give a big shout out to Claire at Drizzle Dab.
Oh, yeah.
Claire is one of our partners. In our discount file in the group, if you're a member, there is a discount for all of his products. He not only has the wax liquidizer type products, but
he has a terpene selection.
He has a whole line of terpenes, and if he is one of the sources that I will preferred source for terpenes for me. Let me just put it that way.
And here's the thing that I learned about over the years of perfecting this technique that I just showed you was nothing that you're going to go ahead with from the dispensary, if you're using this for a medical reason, would not benefit from terpenes. And I actually put that in that little intro, was like adding terpenes optional. But when you make your own liquidizers, this is the card I made today. When you make your own, you can pick a strain-specific terpene that helps you. One of my favorites early on was BioJesus. One of yours was OG18. You could get a terpene-specific mix to really give you a bonus medical benefit. And that is super important, I think, because that gives you a lot of control.
I think that's true, 100% true. No, obviously. I have to say,
as you hit your vape cart and cough.
yeah, I prefer the cartridges that you made that are isolate and terpenes only.
And that's why I make them that way, because let's talk about that too. What can you use while making a cartridge? And okay, you can buy these little glass jars at your dispensary with shatter wax, butter, BHO,
Right.
and you can also buy a distillate or a CO2 oil. Now, RSO doesn't work because there's a lot more plant waxes in it, but these things that you see in your dispensary are called distillate, and they're basically like the pure form of cannabinoids. Now, I don't want to argue with people about this. There are terpenes in them, but you can enhance them with more, and you should. If you take a hit off a vape cart you make and you really don't get a strain specific taste, you need to add some terpenes. Plus, they act as like a thinning of the liquid, because these are so thick. I swear to God, I don't even know why I stuck a cap on them, because I have to heat them for several minutes with my heat gun. They need a little terpenation to become liquid enough to be in these carts. Now, I made this one today, and I can flip it over, and it literally will not move down for several hours in a room temperature room. That's kind of what you're going for, because the ceramic coil will be heated by the battery, and it will warm it in a safe way. We talk a lot about carts failing, and a lot of times it's because they get so warm that they gum up the mechanics. And we were going to talk about that because it's a big hazard of making your own. You don't want to have a messed up product.
So let's talk about my problem.
Okay.
So I have 3 cartridges like this and a syringe on my table of probably a little left, and I've had them for
6 months, because that's when I gave them to you.
6 months.
Yeah.
And they worked fine. They initially all worked fine, but then once I took them apart and refilled them, none of them worked anymore. And what happened is, when I would hit the power button, I get 3 flashing lights, and it doesn't work.
It's an error code.
I get frustrated easily. I have a brain injury, and it's a problem. But anyway, I just set these things down, and I just said, fuck it. I'm not going to fuck with this. I've got all this other stuff. And so today, since I knew we were doing vape carts, and I knew that if I couldn't make it work, that Holly would tell me on live how to make it work.
Because we're going to talk about that.
So today, I took this one out of the plastic sleeve with some Everclear and a Q-tip, and I cleaned.
You cleaned basically the base of the 512 threading, which is what makes it go into the battery. Yes.
Yeah.
And see, that is basically a metal connector that allows the electricity to go through. So if it's gummed up, it's not going to conduct.
Pass through.
It does. It's part of the breathing apparatus. Now, I mentioned in the video the cartridges, and there are different kinds. These are the ones that I showed in the video are a very simple cartridge. There are some that you cannot use in batteries that are draw activated, which is when you suck on them, they basically power up and fire up the cartridge. But these are a very simple cart, and there are several things that make the contacts mess up on the base of them. And one of the things you can do is use a Q-tip with ISO, simple 70 or 91% alcohol, and wipe it off. Another thing you can do is get it like a small needle or dab tool and kind of pry the bottom of that little cartridge connector out. Not all of them do that. A lot of even your dispensary cartridges can fail like this if, like, for example, you leave them in your pocket and it's hot, and the oil will kind of melt down into there a little bit because, as you mentioned, it's part of the breathing apparatus also.
Right. Right.
So a very simple thing to do is to clean everything. Now, not just
Right.
the cartridge, but the battery connector too. Get a Q-tip, put a little ISO on it, wipe it off. That will work miracles. But don't be afraid to get like a pen or a dab tool and kind of just pry around and then clean it again. Another tip that I like to give people is it's always a good idea to keep your cartridges upright when they're warm. So it's one thing, like I don't mind laying mine on their side in the middle of winter in my house when it's 67 degrees at the hottest. But if I used it a bunch and then I'm going to set it down, I try to set it in like a cup so it stays upright because that can mess with some of the ways that the rubber seals and the metal make contact. So keeping them upright as you use them it's until they at least cool down. Now, also how you use them. Because if you're just vaping and vaping, like you're listening to like your divorce proceedings and they're taking everything and kicking you in the balls afterwards, you're going to overheat this thing. So what you need to do is like think of, I'm going to concentrate on 3 puffs and I'm going to kind of think about it mentally in a way that's really including this. And you've got to think that like cannabis doesn't really get into your system unless it gets to the lower part of your lungs. So a lot of times I will push the button, take a draw, release the button, and finish my draw to cool my cart, but to get the medicine where it's going to work, into the lungs. And then as you breathe out, if you start to see a little vape increase, this is also a stealth tip. Suck it back in a little, because it'll get back down there and hit some places it didn't before. I'm going to do an example with this cart right here. So I'm warming it up by hitting it. I sucked on it even after I let it out, but as I get the little vape out, I'm going to suck it back in because one of the things people like about carts is the stealth, and this will help you hide it better too. Get higher, hide better, always a win. So did I not cover anything?
Cartridges are massively popular. I mean, it's one of the most convenient.
Portability alone.
Yeah, you know what? This isn't as convenient,
as
this.
Oh, let me show you my batteries.
This is
oh my god.
Oh my God, she forgot to display batteries.
Oh, well, I mean, there's all these handy things. Like there's just the stick pen. A lot of the times your dispensary will hand you one. There might be like it's a swag item for like a promotional thing. There's these cute little Yukons that are like so stealthy and tiny, but they also protect the glass cartridge. The tank can break. And these are adjustable so that you don't have to unleash like the whole hellacious thing that you made. Because I'm making them potent now, and I want to talk about that too. And I mean, then there's these, they look like car key vehicle remotes. I mean, my gosh.
The very first giveaway we ever did
was
one of those Palm Stealth keychain vape things.
You literally just screw it in, and it fits in your hand. Like I get away with nicotine vaping all the time with this simple little thing. It was smaller than that. It was beautiful, and oh my gosh! But I started out learning about the vapes, and I mean, sometimes I avoid them because I think that they're too easy, and I kind of get my tolerance up. When I'm on the road, there's nothing simpler. I'll pass. Go ahead.
No, I just see a comment here that you need to be aware of. Mike 63 says, "Oh, that's Mark.
That's Mark."
And terpenes in a vape cart without PG, that helps me immensely.
You can do that too. And let me talk about distillate here for a minute, because distillate and CO2 oil in the Illinois dispensaries is already decarbed. So you can literally warm it, and that's the only reason I will warm it. And I'll do it on a lower setting. It just is so that I can get it viscous enough to
Liquid.
stir in terpenes.
Right.
Yes. So once it's
Right.
so sticky, I mean, I can't prove to you how hard I'm pushing on this, but I literally can't until I heat this.
It's
I
fine.
can't even get the top off. It's sticky, and the terpenes are two-part medicinal.
Right.
That's the best part. But also
Right.
they act as a liquidizer. So as we were talking about earlier, they recommend in these liquidizer things that you add like 2-for-1 of cannabis product. And there are ways as you work through this that you can keep how much liquidizer you have to put in, which isn't medicinal. It's a tool. It's not medicinal.
Right.
And you can make a product that really works for you and is really potent enough to meet your needs, like on the several puff demand that a vape cart does.
This is the only reason that I've got cartridges here.
Right.
Because I know that the only thing in this is distillate and terpenes.
And actually, that's a great thing when we talked earlier about the dangers. When you buy a dispensary safe product in a concentrate, so you know that it's been lab tested, you bring it home and you put in things that you are aware of, you have suddenly made yourself safe because you were in control of this the whole time. Everything's tested, everything's safe, and medicinally, it might be better for you. Honestly, the best vape carts I've ever had were the ones I made.
The first reason, where are we at? 8:56.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to landing this plane, guys. The first reason that we started looking at adding terpenes was because as a new patient, you struggle for a strain that makes you feel better because we're all different.
You are the perfect example of that.
I know.
You are.
And I am. And when you find that strain, you're like, oh, hallelujah. I'm going to be great now. I finally found it.
I can say that too.
You can get to the dispensary and either have it not be available, which really is what happens. And then what do? Do you start over? And so what I did is I got a lab report. Once I found a strain that helped me, I asked for a freaking lab report so I knew what was in it.
And
so
that included terpenes.
Yes. Then I knew the terpene ratios and what was in it. And so at least I knew that myrcene, beta-caryophyllene, and pinene all helped me feel better.
And I know mine too. I know my terpenes.
I couldn't control the flower that I buy at my dispensary, but I can control the terpenes that I buy. And I'm going to go. I'm going to go there. I buy the terpenes and I make it work. 1960 song. If you can't be with the one you love the one
you're with. Hey, when you were concerned because your specific strain was dropping in potency, I said, hey, we have the technology now. There's no reason you can't make this.
It was like a $6 million man episode, We have
the
technology.
We have the technology. And this is what we want to pass on to you.
Make him better.
This is what we want to pass on to you. Look, we barely touched on how to make your own vape carts tonight because there are even other methods. And this was my method of figuring out how to make it most potent. But literally join the group and get in there because you can ask these questions as you go along to develop your own way. You can see I'm kind of cavalier about how many drops I put in. That's how comfortable I am, and that's where I want you to be.
You've done it a bunch. So,
I have, but that's where you get to know, and that's what I want everyone to have is just look, I can make this, and I love it when I see it in our group. The oh my god, I made something that helps me.
I know it's the most fun I have.
It's so fun. Yeah, it's so awesome.
So quickly, we're almost out of time, guys. If you have questions about the
I'll
process,
answer them later.
Put them in the comments now. So we may add to this video and build it out bigger. But
and honestly, I'm going to take our talk and I'm going to add it to the video of a how-to later that everyone can access at any time.
So now I'm going to ask you for your last thoughts.
Oh, thanks for vape carts was kind of how I got this all started. I mean, that was one of the things that I thought I could take on because I knew like all the voltages and numbers and
Your
nicotine
specialty.
ones, and I wanted to solve the puzzle. So vape carts are kind of a passion of mine. So I'm super stoked to talk to you guys about this because I've really studied it.
They're near and dear to your heart.
They're near and dear to my heart. So, and I don't even
like
use
tincture.
them that much, which is really fucking hysterical. But I used them a lot tonight, so I'm gonna sleep really great. But
Me too.
yeah. So thanks, guys, for listening, and please feel free to ask questions because that's why we do this, and this is really literally the only reason we do this. So I just want to help people like it's helped me.
It's exactly why we do this. We want to help people.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we love you. We thank you for being with us tonight. We appreciate you so much.
Shout out to Mark.
Shout out to everybody in the comments.
My first Planned Parenthood
Planned Parenthood
private
meeting?
potluck. Well, sorry, they all start with P. And I have to pee. But my
Private
first PPP
potluck.
person that I did things with, and
Planned Parenthood piracy.
Potluck. All right, at this I better cut it off. Sorry.
Love you guys. See you next Monday night. Bye for now.